we'll be going home tomorrow. But it has been a great 12, 13 days, whatever it's been out here. 10, 11 practices. We've gotten the most out of what we needed to do out here. And that's from competing, that's from being together, that's from spending an enormous amount of time without as many distractions as you can possibly have. So tonight kind of ends that with a nice little night scrimmage where you hope you can kind of, get it to come out the way you'd like to have it come out, both sides having some positives and things like that. And I think we did. We come out of this tonight without any injuries, went live again, and saw some really good things from both sides of the ball, offensively, defensively. Offense made some plays down the field. Defense made some plays when they had to, created some turnovers, and then played well in the red zone. So big emphasis for us. We're seen tonight, and I feel better about at least ending our time and headed back to Madison.
I know you guys said you were not going to actually name the starting quarterback, but Tyler got all the first-team reps out here. Is it kind of in that direction for you right now?
I don't know. I mean, we're going to give him another opportunity. I think that this was one of those scrimmages where we say, okay, let's see him play with the ones. And then when we go back to campus, we might switch it and say, hey, let's see him play with the twos. What we really had planned, and I don't think we got an opportunity to do, was to see Mabry with the twos. We really tonight wanted to have an opportunity to put Mabry in there a little bit with the twos. That way, both those guys would get some reps with the ones. And I don't think it started off maybe the way that they wanted it to start off. And I think that's sometimes when your plan changed a little bit. So Tyler was going to get more of the one reps today. Braden was going to get some because Mabry was going to take some of the twos, and it didn't quite work out that way just because of, I think how it kind of started off. But we're getting closer to what we would do, and that's why I just said as we head back to campus, the human element is what starts to creep into everybody's program. Right? As you get closer to games, they start to solidify who's in what spots, and that's the tough thing. But at some point in time, we will have obviously a one quarterback and a 1B.
You talked about kind of the goals of Platteville, cutting out distractions, spending time together. Obviously, team chemistry is super important. Can you kind of quantify what you build here?
Well,
is you got to get through the adversity of the season, or how do you kind of see that?
You got to see what happens in the season. I think. I mean, there's things that happen out here. There's time spent out here. I think is really unique, but you don't know how tight you are until you hit those situations. And so there's some things we did a little bit different. What I would say is, what I feel really good about it from what we've done in the winter and the spring to being back out here, I do feel like there's a different vibe. And I mean that like there's a competitive spirit, but there's a respect for one another where, they're on edge and, there's some opportunities that there have become fights and things like that. But the respect that they've got for each other to compete, I even talked about tonight, go out there, talk some smack. I mean, it's a scrimmage. You don't get this opportunity that often, had some time off today and you got a chance to go out here and you want that to see, do they really have that respect for each other? Can they play at that level and still be able to control themselves?
What part of this team during these first couple weeks do you feel you've made the most strides, or really kind of maybe has you excited?
There's hard to pinpoint. I mean, I think that our interior depth on the D-line, I feel a lot better about. And just seeing those guys compete, seeing those guys, play 6 of them inside there that, I think can really, really help us in the long run. I think seeing some of the young offensive linemen have to get thrown in the mix. I mean, Kevin Haywood the last 4 days has played with the ones the entire time. And that is a very difficult situation. And so that's valuable in that creating that, at 6, 7, and 8 on the offensive line for us. So there's a lot of different areas, but I think that, and I'll be honest, I mean, coming out of here knowing that we've got 2 quarterbacks. I think that's probably, as everybody wants to ask about the quarterback position and who's number 1 and who's number 2, where I feel as good as anything is we've got 2 really good, really capable quarterbacks. Now, obviously a season is long and you got to see how guys handle those things. And I'm not crowning or saying, but I don't think anybody on this entire team would bat an eye of whoever's at quarterback. And I think that's a really, really good thing. Not that often do you really have that. I haven't had it that often since I've been a head coach. And so I feel good about that.
You said 1B before. Is that kind of ideal for you long run?
Well, that's what you would love. Like, we've said it in the past, we don't want to have to go back and do what we've done the last 2 years to get your next quarterback. And if you can't do it from within your own system, it's going to be really difficult. I'm not guaranteeing those things, and we don't know. but I know we feel a lot better about where we are, and that's why if you don't have a 1B, then you're obviously always thinking ahead to say, okay, well, what are we going to have to do, and as we know, the landscape is changing. It's becoming more and more, I don't say difficult, but different to figure some of those things out. And if you have it within your system, that's going to be the key. And I really do believe that's where we are right now.
Luke, you mentioned Kevin having to step up at that right tackle spot. Is Riley looking like it's going to be a long-term issue, or is he?
No. He could have been back out there a little bit tonight for us, So when we get back to campus, I think he'll be fine. We just, but we still need to be able to mix some of those things in. That's a tough position, right? You look at those. We've talked about those defensive linemen. There's 6 of them rolling with the ones and the twos, and maybe even 5 rolling with the ones. So the amount of plays that those guys have to play, as opposed to the amount of plays that the offensive linemen have to play, I'm not sure if Joe Huber has missed a snap this entire camp. I don't know that Jack has missed an entire snap the entire camp. So that's a lot more difficult on those guys. And so to have Kevin and those guys be able to take some of those, it's because you still got to get your work done. So it's going to vote really well for us in the long run.
So with Thomas and with Aaron.
Say that again?
With Thomas and Aaron at outside linebacker, just how much more, how long do you think they're going to be out for? What's the name?
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully Aaron Witt will be back, and when we get back to campus, maybe a little bit. Thomas is going to be a little bit longer. I don't know exactly on how long Thomas will be, but I don't think he'll be back, until we get into the season for sure. So we hope we can get Aaron back, get him back in the mix of things. That's one of those positions where we had 4 guys that we would feel like are 1As and 1Bs, and we got thin pretty quick. We moved Sebastian Cheeks there. I don't know if you saw him on the playing the Sam backer as much as he did. And I think it's been a really good move for him, and it can be a really good move for us in the future.
You guys, last few practices, there's been a lot of pressure your defense has been able to put on your quarterbacks and on the offense. What do you make of that aspect of the game, and what kind of stands out to you?
Twofold. I mean, we're a little bit thinner at the offensive line, so when you do some of the 1s-on-2s and you got 2 freshman tackles, and I don't mean 2 freshman tackles with Kevin Haywood, Kevin's with the 1s, you've got Derek Jensen and Emerson Mandel, who are just young kids who are going to be really good football players, and they're having to play against one. So that makes it difficult on the quarterback sometimes, but there is a definite emphasis. There's a different vibe. There's a different feel with some of the things that we can do without having to always blitz, and our ability to get some pressure off of those edges, and then the ability to play the guys inside enough that, when you're fresh, it's a lot different in there.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, following up, you mentioned Cheeks, but Willer's kind of been getting some time there.
So we moved him. We moved him to outside as well. So when Thomas went down and when Witt went down, we became thin there. So we moved Ernest outside and played him as the jack into the boundary, and we may have found a home. I think it's just that it might be a better fit for him in the long run. Gives us some more size and some things on the edge over there. Will allow us in some ways to do some different things as he continues to grow as well. So it's been, when you have some injuries, some good things also come out of it, right? A young guy like that has gotten an opportunity to play a lot more football and maybe get in a position that fits him a little bit better. And the same thing with Sebastian Cheeks. He's was playing a lot, but was rolling with 3 different will linebackers and not playing nearly as much. And then all of a sudden you put him up on the edge and some of his strengths, show up a little bit different, and he gets to play a lot more, and you see a lot more from him.
So with Platteville, just in general, do you feel you've gotten more out of being here at Platteville with the extra week compared to last year, and also being year 2?
Yeah, we do. I mean, I don't know if they would stay any longer, but I really do believe they enjoy it. Nobody enjoys, obviously, the practicing every single day and some things like that, and but I do think they enjoy getting away. I think they do understand what all the things we're trying to do here, and the lack of distractions is unique. And I mean that for us as well, right? The coaches don't go; they stay here with them, so there's a lot more time that's spent, and so the value of it is far more than just what you see on the football field, and those things pay off in the long run. You don't always see them in the short times, and even in year 1, you'd say, well, maybe if you wouldn't have went there, maybe it would have been different. No, but those things pay off in the long run, and we believe that.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about the running back depth chart, what you've seen the last couple of weeks with that group?
It's good to see Ches get back out there tonight. I think that probably was as big a deal for us tonight as anything, to have him back out there. And he'd been, with a little hammy for the last few days and hadn't been able to go nearly as much. And, for him and for us to just, get his confidence back, to see those guys. He made a nice run, ran over somebody tonight, and I thought that was a big step in for him. But that room has gotten a lot more crowded. And Tywee has been a really good addition, to be honest with you. I think that you guys that have been here have seen that. He's kind of been limited the last couple of days, which is a good thing. I think we've seen enough in some situations that you know what you got in a guy that's been in college for 5 years. But it's also given an opportunity for some of those young freshmen. And there's a really bright future in that room with those guys. They're different. They're dynamic. And so it's going to be hard. I mean, Cade Giacomelli's done a great job. Obviously, Jackson Akers all over the field for different things. But it is definitely as deep and as strong of a group. And I don't just mean it as running backs and guys that provide a lot for our football team.
I think when we talked down at Big Ten Media Days, you weren't really sure what true freshmen were going to be able to help you right away. Do you have a better idea now of which guys?
Yeah, well, we still hope that we don't have to have them out there, but I would say Kevin Haywood on offense. One of those other young offensive linemen, and Emerson Mandels, and Colin Cubberley are two guys that are going to be in some version of the two deep. So they're going to be getting reps every week. Whether they play or not, we'll see. I think both the tailbacks are going to have to find an opportunity to play. That's a position, like we said last year, that things can change and things can happen really quick. And those guys both have the ability to be able to go out there and I think help us. So I would say that there's an opportunity for those two guys. I don't know how much special teams those guys would get on. And then defensively, we'll see. I think that Xavier Lucas on the outside is a kid that we are going to have to find a way to play. He's very, very, very talented. And, the good thing is we've got a little bit of depth there that gives us, the opportunity to be able to play some different guys and play a little bit deeper, which if it was a situation like it was in the offensive line, he would have seen him, probably get a lot more reps early. But I would say those guys off the top of your head are the ones that they're going to see some version of playing this year, and how much we'll see.
Luke, you had some of your staff go down to that personnel symposium down in Nashville. What are some of the things you hope for when they go down there and bring back this program?
Well, that's just such a field that's always about ideas, and things are continuing to evolve and change. And so just coming back with some ideas, just hearing. I mean, it's not different than football, right? We all take each other's ideas, right? Whether it's from another college, whether it's from the NFL. I mean, there's not nearly as many things that are as original. So I think when you're down there, you have an opportunity, especially with the landscape that's continuing to change, and for them to at least be able to visit with some people that are going through a lot of the same things and share ideas. I think they do a better job at sharing ideas than maybe the coaches do because they're probably a little bit more creative in a lot of the things that they do, and by nature do that. So I thought it was I haven't visited with them a whole lot since they've been down there about what went on, but I know that it's a great opportunity it's not a networking thing, it's more truly trying to plan for the landscape that's ahead of us and making sure we're staying ahead of the curve.